Greetings guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette and this is my channel Evolve with Monette. I am so happy to have you here with me today, and for those of you that are new, I am a professional intuitive empath. We're going to jump right into the video. Is your person a peach? Now, for those of us last year that remember, we all kind of got caught up and rather enmeshed with a series on Netflix called You. And You was about a serial killer, essentially, and a sociopath, a psychopath named Joe. And it was played by, I want to say it's something Badgley. I don't know if I want to call him Pent Badgley or Paige Badgley, I think. I don't know. But he's gorgeous, by the way. And there became all of these forums about him and him having to actually come out and say, I'm a psychopath in this movie, do not idolize me. There was a similar phenomenon that happened with Ted Bundy as well in that documentary that was played by Zac Efron, I do believe. So I don't want to just talk about the dynamic in that, because I had an interesting moment last night. Not last night, excuse me, last year, where I was comparing behavior that I saw in someone who I thought was sociopathic with Joe. Now, I don't think that this person is a killer whatsoever, but I was also comparing myself in not the obvious murderous part, but the part where we can become very focused on a person in order to try to make everything perfect. That was something that Joe did over and over again when he would stalk, very unhealthily, whoever was his next victim, right? And he would pay attention and all of that stuff. So I was trying to make this connection for this person and it completely went over their head. But what I came away with was not a focus so much on Joe and how we all can become obsessive, why that was such a phenomenon on Netflix, why we all watched it. But what I saw in there was an issue regarding Peach. And that is what I want to focus on tonight. Is your person a peach? Now, when I say your person, we all have this idea when we're on our journeys and our friendship journey, soulmate, twin flame, whatever you want to ascribe to it, that we have a special person. And what I noticed about Peach right away, though they didn't say it, I mean, I think they did allude to it in some of the fights that she and Bex had, that she was a narcissist. Now, I would call Peach a malignant narcissist. For those of you who have ever dealt with narcissism on the spectrum and understood it in various degrees. But I understood that the person in my life was a peach, but a covert narcissist, okay? Now, there are some things that were very similar, that paralleled, which is the isolation that narcissist or any abusive partner will want. They will, narcissist of any stripe, especially coverts, though, are usually very simpering and weakish in their behavior, very different from the malignant. Peach was outright, forthright. She felt like she owned Beck. She felt like she was entitled. Well, coverts feel the same. They just do it in a different, more manipulative way. And so the more that I think about it, I think my person was definitely a peach. Now, there's another aspect here that I thought was particularly fascinating. One of the things that happened that caused or drove the character development of Peach was that she was gay. Peach was a lesbian, but repressed. She felt very constricted by, I believe Peach was Asian in the show, her Asian upbringing and family, they were wealthy, whatnot, and she couldn't really express this. So the one person she could express her sexuality with happened to be her best friend. And she fell in love with her, and she loved her, but she felt covetous and possessive of her. So much so that she began to outwit Joe in the series. She began to be Joe's nemesis because she could figure out what Joe was doing, because she was as obsessed with Bex as Joe was, but just from a different angle. And it was interesting because there were so many themes of repressed sexuality and everything going on with the counterpart that I had and how it showed itself. And I thought, my person was a peach. She was a peach. She needed to have me completely to herself. She was very comfortable in our dynamic. And until she could find something to replicate that, she needed to control it at all cost. Okay? Because I edified her just like Bex edified Peach. The dynamic too, there's an interesting thing that happens here. If you are dealing with a narcissist or a covert narcissist, I promise you they are ascribing to a class system in their head about who is supreme or above or beneath in a way that they might not be telling you, okay? So you don't understand that they think they're better than you. Now, in this movie, Bex was at a different socioeconomic level than Peach was. Peach's family was wealthy. They had whatever they needed, and she would shower Bex with it as a means of control. Now, if you are best friends with a covert narc or a malignant narc, or if you're a lover with a covert or malignant narc, notice the power plays, especially if they have the finances to kind of reel you in to a thing. So that's the energy that showed up here that I thought was fascinating. There was a disparate socioeconomic thing. And so Peach always felt that she was better than Bex, and therefore she could purchase Bex and keep her obedient, essentially. That's what I noticed. There was like a purchasing of Beck's energy until Bex, like most of us empaths, eventually freaked out. Now, that's not to say that Bex didn't have her tinges of narcissism. We could talk about that. But Bex freaks out on Peach, and there's this like moment where they argue on the street, and she says, I'm so sick, essentially, of carrying all of this shit and doing all of this for you and being your fix-all, and you're like a psychopath. She essentially calls Peach out, and Peach, like any narc, when the truth crushes against them, is destroyed. She's destroyed, and it causes a bit of a fracture and a friction, which Joe takes advantage of and absolutely loves. But there's a lesson to know: if your person's a Peach, they will return. Now, for a lot of you in this journey, I have dealt with hoovering of all kinds from every narc. Every narc except for this last covert narc that I've dealt with, I've had a hoovering. And she even tried to hoover it right in the beginning and try to like get me to come back and figure stuff out and give me a piss poor apology considering what she had done, not taking accountability. But so that's true. I have been hoovered by everyone, but I've been like hardcore hoovered by the malignants, right? They're real brazen. Like they come back like nothing happened. Like, hey girl, let's go out for drinks. And you're like, what? So Peach works her way, or shall I say, worms her way back into Beck's life. And in the series, she almost saves her life because her and Penn Badgley, it's Penn Badgley, right? Her and Penn Badgley, the actor that plays Joe, are really kind of figuring each other out. And he figured out, actually, that Peach was in love with Bex and that it was this repressed thing. And I don't even know if Bex understood the fullness of it. If your person is a Peach, there may be some undertones of that. I want to say that to you. Even if they are not actually part of the community, the LGBTQIA community, there may be some things going on. That was certainly my case. But even if there is nothing sexual there are no undertones, please understand that that person feels that they own you. They feel like they have rights to you. They feel like they can purchase you. Girl, why did I almost flip you all off? They feel like they can purchase you. They feel like you belong to them. They are very covetous and jealous of your other connections and interactions. They only want you to themselves. Even with my person who was a Peach, she said to me when it was all done, I never thought you would leave. Which in a way validated to her crappy behavior. So she knew what she was doing. She was justifying her terrible behavior because she felt that I was beholden, beneath, and betrothed to her bullshit. Come on now. I love alliteration. She thought that I was going to stay there because she felt that I was beneath her. Now, as the universe has it, things have turned out very differently for both of us. Guys, I'm working on writing some stuff. My editor was just over and we were going over some rough drafts. I think I have something for you. That's good. But what I will say is, my Peach and I lived a bit of a movie plot too. It didn't end like this, thank God. It didn't end like Joe whatsoever. But what happened was, she was sure that she was in a socioeconomic class above me because of her family or whatever, because we both started from the bottom. Now we're here. Look at us. Now we're here. And because she was Caucasian and I was black. It's not something she said until the very end. I didn't hear it. She actually said, "I'm just doing this to be nice to you." It was a Peach statement, if ever there was. The this that she was doing was sharing her energy, I don't know, trying to sleep with me. She thought she was doing me a favor, just like Peach thought that her gifts and her possession and her controlling behavior were a favor to Bex, because Bex was impoverished and struggling and Peach was affluent. And my counterpart, my Peach, thought she was all of those things too. It wasn't until a very lack of control drunk moment that she said the truth, which I vaguely understood, but when you love someone you overlook that. Bex loved Peach, and she did at times feel grateful because it was a cool dynamic that they had for her for a while until it stopped being cool. But Peach didn't like that, and it infuriated her because her infatuation, love, whatever she felt for Bex, she was not used to being told no. Neither was my Peach. She wasn't used to being told no. And when she said to me, I never thought you would leave. I thought we would make it to the end. I don't know how she thought that, because we were in a completely imbalanced situation and she was a sociopathic liar. I don't know how she thought that. Even me, with all of my empath juiciness, could not tolerate such terrible behavior and neglect. If your person is a Peach and you're dealing with a covert, overt, or malignant narcissist, they will feel that they own you. They, in fact, even if this is the first time you've ever heard this, they know in their heart that they believe to be true that they are better than you. My person believes she was better than me. She actually replaced me with someone who was a Peach for her. Guys, sometimes the universe works out our problems when we take our power back and walk away. She had no choice but to go to her Peach. She's lazy. Of course she went to that. And the universe is allowing her to have the karma of what it feels like to be under a Peach. Someone who feels possessive over you and will ruin your life for their own selfish reasons. That's what her Peach is doing as we speak. My Peach, I disconnected from because I didn't want to live in her shadow. You know, Bette Midler has a song, "The Wind Beneath Your Wings." Did you ever know you were my hero? Everything I wanted to be. I feel like sometimes in our platonic relationships with friends, if you are unhealthy and if you're in a narcissist empath dynamic, that you can get into a space where things are really in balance. It's okay to be the wind beneath someone's wings if it's reciprocal. What I'm discovering upon the separation from my person who was a Peach is that reciprocal relationships exist, and that they don't have to be codependent and fully enmeshed, that there is such a thing as interdependency, edification, people who lift you and buoy you just as you lift and buoy them. Peach was a taker, and even though she gave paltry little crumbies to her person Bex, she still was ever the manipulative, narcissistic user. Some of you guys have best friends like that. You need to check yourself. Are you allowing someone to be your Peach? If you are, it means you're not valuing yourself, collective. It means you're not putting yourself on a pedestal. It's okay to help people with their problems. It is our natural gifting as empaths. We are on this earth as light workers to do that, earth angels, okay? But that means that we can also be privy to want to be snacked by Peaches that are wolves in sheep's clothing. And that's what a covert narc is, and that's what malignant narcissists are. If your person is a Peach, you have some questions to ask yourself. Deborah Cox said it best, how did we get here? Nobody's supposed to be here. It's time to love yourself if you have a person who's a Peach, and take back your power. Because Peaches don't stop. Ever. They'll never let you go You have to let them go. My person was oddly a peach with me, and the reason that we bonded initially is because when we met not long before, a few years before, she had left another peach in another state who wanted control over her life, who was bossy and mean and was in a socioeconomic place above my person, and let her know as much and treated her as such, but also had sexual feelings for her that were repressed so that she could live her picture perfect life, but she got to live vicariously with my person. So it was very odd to end up in the dynamic where my person was my peach, because the thing that bonded us is that we had both dealt with narcissism, and I thought she understood it. But absolute power corrupts absolutely. As she walked into another version of peach, because she didn't learn that lesson 20 years ago, she did so because she felt that she had ascended above me. She felt that the peach that she was moving into was better than me because she was dominant and abusive. She hadn't learned a thing. But I did, and I watched it happen. And I said to her at the end, I've been your Joe, minus the murders, y'all. Please understand that. I've been your Joe. In that, I watched what happened. See, Joe figured out peach, even though he was crazy. He understood that there was a different kind of crazy he was looking at. And he understood that there was something else going on with peach that had her so desperate to separate him and Bex. But healthy, good for peach, because in this case, he was a murderer. That's crazy. But what I want you, remove all of the craziness of the show and just go into the observation of who your peach is, and also go into the energy of understanding that covert narcissists and malignant narcissists will treat you like peach, even if it's just a platonic friendship. If you want to get real crazy and scrambling all of the sexuality and the repression and the drama, that's another thing too that heightens or deepens the codependency. But you have to pry yourself away from your peach, because if your person's a peach, they never plan on ever existing in an even playing field with you. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. There was a study done many years ago, I believe it was at Harvard, I'll see if I can find it and link it below, where professors put straight A students into a dormitory, both of them. Both, not just, it wasn't just two students, it was a group of straight A students and another group of straight A students, the best students in the school. And they said, we're going to let you guys govern each other. You guys are in charge of these people, and these people are going to report to you. These were intellectual, empathetic people with high emotional quotients, right? High EQs and high IQs. And within a week and a half, they had to discontinue the study because the people that were put in charge were abusing, molesting, and attempting to rape, and in some cases raping their students, their fellow students. These are college-age students. And what they deduced from the study is absolute power corrupts absolutely. With no supervision, they devolved to their lowest common denominator of primal dishumanity. If your person is a peach and they feel that they are above you, they feel entitled to treat you as less than. And even if you once were on an equal playing field, when they feel that they have ascended above you, they will never hesitate to put their knee on your neck. Take it seriously, guys, and protect yourself. If those straight A students could turn into animals in less than a week, the peach in your life has had years to figure out how to zap you of your life force and to drain you and to be vampiric. And they feel very entitled. She was indignant and entitled at our end because she couldn't fathom that I wouldn't want to have my neck crushed by her restrictions and her vanity She needed me, guys, because she was being abused and told to hop to it. I watched her peach and how she was. She was relentless and needy and codependent, probably one of the most codependent energies I've ever encountered. And so in order for her to feel empowered in the relationship that she felt that she wanted, and her peach was cool to her. It was some very high school shit that I was dealing with there. So she needed me to step on so that she felt good at the end of the day and treat like crap, devalue, and all of the things. If your person is a peach, please know karma comes, and there is someone that they will report to if they haven't done their healing, who will treat them exactly how they treated other people. She forgot the blessing of our even keel relationship in the beginning when she was escaping her own abuse. And instead of ascending and evolving, she decided to descend like Dante's Inferno to the 7th layer of hell, where she became a tyrant and a peach. Save yourselves, empath. You are nobody's stepping stool. You are nobody's whipping post, whipping boy, or whipping girl. You are powerful creators and manifestors. You are powerful healers and counselors. You are powerful and dignified friends. Tell your peach to piss off, and you keep it pushing. Find your self-respect, empaths, divine feminines, best friends of covert and malignant narcissists alike. You don't only deserve more, you are owed more. You will never get recompense from a peach. Peaches don't admit that they're problematic. But as soon as you know, then you know. And you know that it's time to go. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Come back next time and we will continue to evolve together.